clog holes here with the gateways, because once they're warp gates, it doesn't really matter. So building some zealots. A little criticism I would have strategy-wise is that, we're getting a few too many zealots at the start, and really we should be investing in gateways and just getting a few gassy units. Now Terran, I want to pop over and just note a little bit of what he's doing. Okay, so he's making some Marines. Looks like he's getting a reactor for a lot of Marines. That's all I really care about for now. I'm not going to focus too much on him. Another thing we've been noticing is this Protoss is kind of forgetting his Chrono Boost quite a bit. Now, that's probably something pretty interesting to note because... Oops, excuse me. I remember on the first day of beta, probably the first week of beta, there were so many people leading up to the beta who were like, oh my god, StarCraft II requires no skill, the only necessary APM is 40 and you can do everything that you need to do. Interestingly, though, I actually was a little overwhelmed. I mean, I pride myself in having these super strong mechanics, and in StarCraft II I was just forgetting to do stuff. Because there's a lot of more little things to remember. I mean, in Brood War, it was like, make SCVs. Are you supply blocked? Look at the mini-map. Cool, you're in good shape. But now it's like, watch your Chrono Boost, too. And that's, I mean, that is another pretty significant thing to have to do. Because it comes at these really awkward times. I mean, at the very least, because probes build so fast, if you're always thinking, build probes, build probes, build probes, they're pretty much that's about how often they're popping out, so you can just keep going back and building them. But now it's like, I need a Chrono Boost, I need a Chrono Boost. Okay, I don't have enough energy. Oh, I forgot for a little bit. Oh, now I have way too much energy. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why the Queen has the Creep Tumor as one of her abilities, because it's just so hard to keep making Queens. So I love the fact that center play hasn't been supply blocked. Anytime your money is high, it's okay, for instance, if you're saying, okay, as part of my strategy, I wanted to do blah, and you're sticking to that strategy. Like, for instance, the people in my house, I say, okay, we're just going to go 3 warp gate, we're going to expand, and then we're going to make a robotics facility. That's what I've been saying for the most part, pretty consistently. And a lot of times when they're making the gateways, their money will get high, and I say, don't worry about it. That's an issue with hand speed. We want to do our build a little faster. And if that's the problem that's getting in center play's mind, just, I'm not fast enough to build all the things that I want to build, that's okay. The problem, though, is when you're doing this and you're saying, well, I have this money, interesting, and then you kind of ignore it. Because a lot of times players will do something like this where they build 3 warp gates, and because they see pros only ever have 3 warp gates, they won't build anymore without any sort of thought about it at all. And it's so important that if you don't have a plan, just spend the money. You always hear me say like 300 is probably a little bit too high for your money count to be. 500 is way high, so that's when you should begin just spamming and stuff. And honestly, I like that money. I like saying if you get above 500, that's time to panic. Because that way, if you train yourself to think that, wow, having high money is the worst thing possible in StarCraft, then having that on the brain will make you go, oh crap, well I need to spend money, well I guess I need to make probes, oh crap, I guess I need to make units, oh crap, I guess I need to build pylons. You think of all the ways you can spend money, which coincidentally is generally all the things that you need to be doing anyways. So honestly, looking at your money and looking at the mini-maps are some of the best triggers to inspire you to just continue to focus. I have some more issues with these pylons. I mean, having a good spread of just being able to make buildings, this good spread of energy fields is great, but be careful because this pylon really supports a lot of these gateways. I think that that's a little bit of an issue that players who spread out their buildings have. Is there's just too many critical pylons. So we do have an observer being made. And, Chrono Boost getting high again. This gateway is not morphing into a warp gate. Okay, there it is now. And this is part of the reason why I advocate spamming. Because, for instance, the only things that are control grouped are these units here as control 1, and then here is the nexus at control 4. Pretend for a moment that these were all control 5. So let's say I hit the 1 key. Looks like 1 actually switches to his view. If I hit the 1 key to select all these units, and then I hit the 5 key to select these. Now, I want you to just look at this bottom half of the screen. I want you just to look down here where these warp gates and gateways are. Pretend for a moment that you're actually playing, you're the Silver League player. I box these. Alright, cool, good, that's control 1. And then I hit 5, and then I hit 1, and then I hit 5. And if you're looking down here as you're spamming, your eye will actually naturally be drawn to this gateway, because it's the different thing of this set. And your brain will go, oh, okay, I guess I haven't built a warp gate. and then you can just happily notice that it's a warp gate. Occasionally, if you don't quite use the keyboard as much as you should, if you just have one control group and then you have your nexus, it's very easy to forget about these things like warping the gateway. This was pretty good by center play, the timing on this one. It actually was very, very good. Watch this gateway. It's going to finish, and it's just going to wait for 1 second, and then it's pretty much immediately going to be morphed into a warp gate. So look right here. It should be warping in right after this forge ends up building. Yeah, nice timing on that. So this is the sort of thing that, you know, it's one of the ways that spamming helps. You know, especially if you have this as, you know, this robotics facility is 6, you know, if you do like a 4, 5, 6 to go like Nexus, Warp Gates, robotics facility, seems a little bit useless to ping between these units, but look down here. Look at this area of the screen where my mouse is wiggling around. If we're in game and we go 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, we go, holy shit, probe's not making, oh my god, unit's not being warped in. Yeah, an immortal almost done. You know, we have a sense of everything that's going on just by a little bit of spamming, and especially when we're moving out with our army, if we do a 4, 5, 6 spam, we can clearly see everything that's being built. And of course, that's part of the reason why we don't want to fall into one control group syndrome. I know there's a lot of players who group their gateways with their robo, with their forge, and then they have this sort of blob here, and they tab through it to upgrade. And that, although that's clever, that's a good way to, you know, cut down on the amount of movement your hand needs to do. It's way helpful. If they're individually hotkeys, so you can look and go, okay, my gateways could be building stuff. Oh, my robotics facility, the progress is this. Oh, my forge is not making anything at all. So definitely recommend some nice creative ways to just have a better eye on what's up. So almost exclusively I've talked about mechanics up to this point. Just cute ways of spamming, things to note about. Okay, it's okay if your money gets high as long as there's a plan you're trying to execute. For instance, trying to play faster. But this is really the first time that center play has moved out. And there's been such little looking of the minimap before, or excuse me, such little movement out here in terms of the minimap. I mean, like, let's just back up a little bit and just go to the center play cam here. This is really the first unit that's actually managed to do much of anything for center play, is this observer. Before then, you know, there was no probe here, there was no probe here at the Zelnaga watchtower. That's pretty significant. And there's no reason to not be doing that. I think that that's absolutely one of those essential things that will help a lot, because, you know, a lot of times you'll see some units moving out on the minimap, and you'll go, oh wow, I don't have the units to defend that. I guess I need to warp in another sentry. And of course it's a little tiny adjustment, but, you know, no big deal. Oh, already really great. Look at this nice thing by center play. He was getting close to supply block. He's not quite supply blocked yet. He's at 65 of 66, and he was at 61 of 66. So he builds 2 pylons, and actually a third. The later the game goes on, the more you'll have to be building 2 or 3 supply structures at once. That's actually one of the funniest things to see, is that someone will get supply blocked and then go, oh my god, I need to unsupply block. And they'll build 1 supply depot, it'll finish, they'll make 8 guys, and then, oh, supply blocked again. And nice timing on this expansion. Excellent, excellent, excellent timing. Doing it right as he attacks, because if this attack fails, or if this attack even happens, I mean, he might just force field the bottom of this ramp. Whenever this attack happens, once it finally wins, or when it dissipates out, there's this expansion that's already done and a whole bunch more units that have been constructed. So this is excellent, trying to poke up here to get the supply depot. Notice how Protoss is having a little bit of trouble managing his units, because there's one supply group syndrome. And I do want to note that after the fact, we'll talk about ways to improve here. And sort of questions you'd ask yourself. So I think anyone who's watching right now is probably cringing and going, no, center play, don't do it! You know, and I'm trying to move all his guys up, trying to get in good position to attack, but as I hold the Alt key, notice how not well all these units are doing. I think that this is probably more good for learning than it is bad, because a lot of people would just watch this and just be in such pain that they would just want to forget about the game. And I actually don't mean that, like, facetiously. Like, there's a lot of people who will watch this and just go, oh man, that game was stupid, I shouldn't have attacked there, ugh. And then they'll try to ignore the game, when really, not that much learning went on. It's more useful to go, okay, well, if he has a whole bunch of barracks units, and he's been going 3 barracks, it's not a good idea to try to attack, especially up a ramp, because not only does it seem hard for me to kill him off, but also I have this expansion coming up. There's no reason to attack. Why do I need to get the advantage economically and get the advantage army-wise? I mean, it's literally impossible to do both at the highest of levels. So there's everything nice about, that reinforcement of it hurting you so badly that you just go, ugh, I don't never want that to happen again, because it's very easy to avoid. Just sort of trust that the more you play out this way, the more you'll become comfortable with the sort of learning good setup. Now watch how Protoss really hasn't had the opportunity to create a gigantic army. And look at that nice pullback before he sets up the Guardian Shield. And of course the Immortal is also shooting at a lot of those Marauders. That's excellent. More units be warped in. This is one of those times where, again, there's this sting that you feel, where you go, ugh, I didn't have a pylon here, I have to warp up all the way over here. Oh, God. And that's one of those